Welcome in this webinar about personalization in HR. In this webinar, you will learn a lot more about personalization and HR. I will talk about the definition of personalization. What is personalization? I will talk about how can you use personalization in the HR domain, in recruitment, in learning and development, in coaching, and in other areas. I will give numerous examples, and after this webinar, you will be able to see how you can use personalization to drive HR and to increase the impact of HR in your organization. So, my name is Tom Haak. I'm the director of the HR Trend Institute, and at the HR Trend Institute we are trend watchers in the domain of people and organization. My background is in international HR. I've worked for numerous, you could say, A brands, but since the last 6 years I'm leading the HR Trend Institute, and currently I'm also the chief curator of the Museum of HR. When you look at trends in the HR domain, there are many trends. And in this chart, I give an overview of 7. It could be 10, it could be 15, but these 7 are high on my list. And you see personalization on number 1. And it has been on the first place for quite some time. It's one of the most important trends in the HR domain. You see others there. It's not only about personalization, of course. It's also about employee experience, more employee focus. It's about the speed and continuously doing things faster. It's about people analytics, HR analytics, working in an evidence-based way. It's about using more and more clever HR tech, the increasing importance of HR operations, and the changing shapes of organizations from, you could say, hierarchical, closed organizations to more open network type of organizations, and not only looking after their own interest, but also looking after the interest of society. So what is personalization? And you could say a simple definition in the people domain is, are you, as an organization, are you willing and able to take the individual needs, wishes and preferences and capabilities of people into account? So it's about, are you willing and able to take the individual needs, wishes, preferences and capabilities of people into account? And that's easier said than done. Of course, on the one side, you could say, we have to look at all the individuals. On the other side, we know, and I just want to make that here as a side remark, and we know that there are, of course, needs that most people have. We all know, you could say, the list of Robbins, basic human needs, you see it here. Most people are looking for things like certainty, variety, significance. They want to contribute. They want to get love and attention, and they want to grow and develop. Robbins, Maslow's pyramid, we all know. So yes, it's about personalization, but we first also have to make sure that the basic human needs also in organizations are met. Some examples of personalization to illustrate what personalization is out of the consumer domain. And we all know Netflix. And if I open my Netflix home screen, I get a personalized home screen. Netflix has been tracking what I'm watching, and based on the information they've gathered about me, they have calculated, so well, these are the type of titles Tom might like. And I learned it's not only about the titles they offer me on the home screen, but it's also, they also vary the pictures. So they found out that I like a certain type of picture, so they vary the pictures. I also show here the home screen of someone totally different from me. I won't tell you who it is, but here you can see quite some differences between the two home screens. I've not done very scientific research. I would like to do that and to see what really is driving those differences. So it's Netflix. This is personalization, using data, and then based on that data, changing the offering for people. I don't have to do anything. It more or less, you could say in a sense, goes automatically. You have personalization and customization. Customization in a sense is a little bit easier. When we're talking about customization, you ask people what they want. I say, hey Bob, do you want red or blue? And if Bob says red, I give him red. And that's relatively easy, and you can see numerous examples in the consumer domain. Today, if you go online to buy jeans, you can customize your jeans. What fabric, what color, generally blue, what shade of blue, you could say, buttons, etc., etc. It's not only with jeans, but also with shoes, for example, Nike shoes. So personalization and customization. And if I mention service providers, I don't have any interest business-wise in any of them. I'm interested in them, but I don't have any interest. So if I mention them, I mention them because I like them and not because they pay me to slip in advertisements for them in this type of videos. So one of the more difficult areas, you could say in a sense, is tailoring the job. And I'm working currently with a student who is writing a thesis about in what aspects could you personalize jobs, or you could say, the work experience for people. Well, this is a very, you could say, drafty slide, but you can already see here there are many aspects that you could consider. It's the recruit. I will come back to recruitment in a minute. I will give you more examples about recruitment. But in the end, today, many organizations still offer, you could say, the fixed jobs. If you look at job advertisement, a lot is still, we are looking for a person who could do this and this and this, and this and this and this is the background. So the job profiles, extensive job profiles, it's changing, but very slowly. So, but if you look at all the opportunities you have, it's not only about the job content. Job content generally has a lot to do with what you could call job crafting. Are people able to tailor their own jobs? But it's also about more practical things: workplace, office, the office location, the commute. What type of commute do people want? Work hours, etc. The boss. What type of boss fits with certain type of people? So think about it and try to brainstorm for yourself. How could we personalize aspects of a job? Personalize, customize. Gives numerous opportunities. With a group of people, we once had a quick brainstorm what could be done in recruitment, and I want to share with you some of the outcomes of that. Candidates can create their own. Wouldn't it be nice? I already mentioned it. If people could go maybe online, and as with Nike or the jeans, tailor their own job. Hey Tom, what do you like? A little bit of that. A little bit of that, a little bit of that. We know your personality, so maybe these aspects fit in. So I tailor my own job that in the end then fits like a glove. That could be nice. I don't know of many organizations that do that today. The first, you could say, a yellow paper was customization. People can create their own. The other element is, okay, Tom, but we know already quite some things about you. You've done the test, your past experience. So based on the data we have of you, and of course we've looked at the data of other people as well, we kind of maybe know better than yourself what type of experience could fit well with you. Well, simpler. Creating on the job site, it's not so easy, but some things are easier. So, for example, why can candidates not choose their own recruiter? They look at your list, say, well, this is a recruiter that fits with me, looks nice, or other relevant criteria. Why not? The other possibilities, of course, again, personalization. You make a match between the recruiters and candidates based on what you know about the candidate and the recruiters. In most call centers, for example, use these kind of matching software. When you call a call center, generally something is known about you. Based on what they know, they look at the best fit with the caller and the available people in the call center. So behavioral, personality, matching. That was sorry, I missed one. I'll pick that one I missed. For example, a lot of people I speak in the labor, they say companies, they tend to be slow, but they want it faster and faster and faster. Especially top candidates tend to be pushed into the fast track. Have you already made a decision? We want your decision now. Some people might want a slow track. So you could offer a fast track and a slow track to candidates. Why not? And it also could save capacity, but because if you know that people are in the slow track, you can give them a slower experience. Do you want a video interview or do you want a live interview? If people really would say, I prefer a video interview, why not? Saves time and money again. Another one mentioned in that brainstorming was, let's create more weekend options in the selection process, because there might be people who are not so keen on leaving their work in weekdays. Blind interviews as well. So even if you only look at the area recruitment, numerous opportunities, customization and personalization. Some other examples. This is a company called Women AI, a startup growing, and what Women AI is doing, they make skill maps of organizations. I think today primarily in the development area, because in that area it's relatively not easy, but it's relatively easy to map the skills, because people are behind their computer. So based on what people are doing, the actual work of people, they are, you could say, inferring, or they are trying to find out what are the skills of this person. If I'm working the whole day and programming at a certain level in Java or Python, they know that I have skills in that area. If people come to me via email or other ways, they can track with all kinds of questions on subject A. They know, well, Tom apparently is a specialist in this area. So they build a skill map based on what they see people doing, not so much on what they don't ask people what are your skills, but they're trying to find out what the skills of people are by actually looking at their work. That's interesting. And then they make a skill map, and you can see, I hope you can see it on the picture, that there are clusters of skills, which makes sense. People who do A well tend to do also, for example, B and C well, and then you get clusters of skills that often come together. it can be used in several ways. One is recruitment. If you're looking for skill A and you cannot find it, then based on the skill map, you could say, well, what we see here is that A, B, and C often kind of cluster together. So instead of looking for people with skill A, we might also look at people with skill B or skill C. And in that way, you could widen your search area. So one is recruitment. The other is you could use this to build a kind, you could say, a Netflix in the organization. You could say, hey, Tom, people like you who do A a lot also like B and C, or B or C. So instead of Tom, it might be a good suggestion for you to move or to add project where you can do C. So it gives me suggestions, you could say, in my career and project development. Interesting to follow, early days, but I like this approach also because it's based on analyzing the actual work and interactions of people and not so much asking people what is your skill. A second example is the personalized Corona coping awareness inventory. And we all are experiencing, have experienced the Corona crisis, and in those type of crisis situations, there's again a tendency, in a way, to forget personalization. So well, it's crisis, so we have to treat everybody in the same way, and that might not be super effective. And with this test, and this is a big based on the Big 5 personality test, people do a test. It's a very quick test because it's based on pictures. I try to show some examples, but they are not super clear, I think. But basically, they ask you. You can see it in the bottom picture. Do you like to go to enjoy music or read books? And enjoy music at festivals, etc. Or do you want to do you like a concert or magazine? So you do the test. Based on your choices, your personality profile is made, and then you get a report. How do you, based on your test, how do we expect you? How do people like you behave in a situation of crisis? And we know that people act differently. So you get your report, and interesting, you can also ask them to produce your personal user guide. So based on your test, there's a personal user guide, and you could use that personal user guide to give to people and say, well, this is me, and I just want to give you my personal user guide, and you can, if you take that into account in the way you deal with me, our interactions can be a lot more effective. Of course, useful in these times of crisis, but always, it could be always useful. Why do technical stuff come with a user guide, and why don't people have a personal user guide? It's possible today. So the personal user guide and the Corona test. Second example is about the use of wearables. And through the use of wearables, personalization becomes easier. This is an example of a police force. You see this policeman already has he or she, well, I suppose it's a he, has a body cam, but also an Apple type of device, Apple Watch. And in the work, this is an example of a police force. In this police force, they measure, for example, the agitation level of policemen and women, people in the police force. They measure the agitation level while they are working. So if a policeman is called into a crime scene, and it's measured that the agitation level is too high, there's a little gentle vibration, and the policeman knows that, and he gets probably a message as well saying, Tom, if I'm the policeman, you're too agitated. Don't enter this crime scene. Sometimes the feedback alone is already enough. So the use of wearables will be increasing, and by having good feedback out of what the wearables are measuring, you're able to tailor the behavior of people in a very personalized, individual way. At the learning and development area, there are enormous opportunities in the learning and development area. We know the long-term trend is from macro-learning, less macro-learning, more micro-learning, offering people small learning solutions that they can use at the moment that they really need them. And that's easier said than done, because then you need to be able to, in a way, assess what people are doing, assess how they are doing that, and then find the appropriate micro-learning solutions. So this is an example in a hospital. In this hospital, they have developed a methodology where nurses in the hospital, when they go, for example, they're on their way to assist in an operation, their schedule and their calendar knows what's going on, what is scheduled. So they know, for example, that at 9 o'clock, if I'm nurse Tom, that I'm scheduled to assist in an operation, and let's say a gallbladder operation, and then I get a little test about the gallbladder operation. So I do 5 to 9. I do this test, easy test or difficult, and if I pass, I can go on. If I don't have enough right answers, then they offer me a small video I can watch about the essentials of, in this case, the gallbladder operation. So the terminology often used is learning in the flow of work. Learning in the flow of work. So how can you get close to the work of people and then offer them solutions that they can use at that moment? Personalization and the numerous opportunities if you think about it. An interesting development we also see, and it has to do with this subject, is sometimes called development as a service. And so instead of offering everybody the same developmental opportunities, it's development as a service. It's also here because in development as a service, they try to disconnect developmental, you could say, services from the organization. And we see more of that in sports. So you see here an example of a company called Tactilize. In sports, the top football players, for example, they hire companies like Tactilize, and they say to Tactilize, I want to become a better player, and you have to help me. So Tactilize analyzes all the data available, they look at the matches, etc. And based on that analysis, they give the individual players feedback and recommendations how to improve their performance. Tactilize and similar companies, and they are there for the players. So and then they are able to give them really tailored advice and recommendations based on their data, based on their performance. So very interestingly, very interesting, and these type of developments will come in the workplace as well. And of course, who pays is an element, but you could say we offer our top players in the organization these type of opportunities, but we don't get involved. Coaching, there are several platforms. This is one of them, better, but there are more where you can find and make a good match with coaches who are available probably all around the world. Crystal, I think the URL is Crystal Knows, and that's a little plugin you do in your email. You can do it in LinkedIn as well. Crystal analyzes based on the information they have. Often it's email or other text. Based on that information, they are able to analyze the personality of people, and based on that analysis, they give you recommendations how to tailor your messages to individual people. So if I'm writing a email to Bob, it says, well, Tom, this is the profile of Bob, and we give you recommendations on what is the best way, what is the best tone to use for Bob. So personalization with the help of Crystal. Its course, there are other ones as well, but what I understand is that, example, if I'm in a sales conversation, so I'm trying to sell you something, and let's assume I'm doing this in an online video call. So you can install, I don't know whether Chorus does exactly this, but there are other providers who do that. You install the application on your laptop, and while I'm having the sales conversation with you, the software starts analyzing the conversation and starts to feed me back, starts to give me suggestions on how I can improve. And so it might say, hey Tom, why don't you ask a question? Hey Tom, we don't hear you summarizing anything, so maybe it's time to summarize something. And towards the end of the call there will be a message saying, Tom, time to close. There's 5 minutes and we don't hear you asking, do you really want to buy this, or how can I help you in the best possible way? So one, suggestions during the conversation, and then, and I think that's the message here on this chart, clone, I like that, clone your closers. Then it can compare the conversation I had with best-in-class sales conversations, and based on that comparison, give me suggestions on how I can improve my sales talk. So again, personalization, again, learning in the flow of work, trying to get very close to the actual work people are doing. So numerous examples. If you have more examples, please let me know, because of course I'm a keen collector of nice examples, and I'm sure there are various other examples in the domains. And so for you the question, based on our top priorities in our organization, in our business, could we use a more personalized approach in some of the HR areas to improve our impact? And I'm sure that can be done because the room for personalization generally is big. I'm coming to the end of this video. I explained in the beginning the 7 areas. You can use the tool I show here to quickly check how future-proof is our HR or my HR. And the question is, score your approach, the approach in your organization on the 7 areas. And The scale is from 0 is we are ignoring this area, we are ignoring this trend, and 4 is we are global trendsetters and people are coming to us to learn about it. And then you can you could score this. Yeah, I'm just making it up, but apparently in this organization speed is super slow, analytics is better, they use some HR technology, HR operations not so bad, and the best area is they are an open, transparent organization. So you can use this, you can easily build a simple questionnaire in Google Forms or any other tool there. So, thank you for listening. I hope I've been able to give you some insights in what personalization could mean in the HR domain. Of course, personalization in the marketing area is further ahead, so we can learn from the marketing domain. I only was able to give some examples. I could give more, but I'm also interested to hear more from you. What are your examples? And please send them to me. My details. If you can always link with me on LinkedIn if you don't send me advertisements. The website of the HR Trend Institute. I'm active on Twitter, Flipboard, Pinterest, other areas as well. So you will be able to find my contact details on LinkedIn or on the website. And I hope to hear from you. And I wish you all the best. Take care.